was the liberal redneck who got more than 60 million views for his brutally honest take on America. Now he's formed a posse to write the book, The Liberal Redneck Manifesto, Dragging Dixie Out of the Dark. Please welcome Trae Crowder, Corey Ryan, Forrester, and Drew Morgan. Welcome to the show, guys. You know, the book, it's a very interesting book. The liberal redneck sounds to me like an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Only because, right?
Yeah.
Well, because most of the red states that you would be associated with voted for Trump.
Sure. Yes,
So how did you become so liberal? What happened?
Well, first of all...
Where did you go wrong?
Right, yeah, there's a lot of people back home praying for me, believe me. But, you know, we've always felt that the two don't have to be mutually exclusive, you know what I mean? Or as a fan of ours, John from Mississippi put it very passionately, it's like, I mean, I like blowing stuff up, but I ain't racist, man. You know, like, you can be both, it's all right. But for me, it started with my uncle, he's gay. That's my only uncle, love him to death, right? And that sort of, that didn't jibe with what Jesus was saying at the time, you know, in my hometown anyway.
What was Jesus saying about that? I never read that.
They weren't, well, Jesus didn't say anything about it.
Yeah, Jesus didn't, yeah.
Right. Because turns out he's pretty okay.
Yeah.
You know.
I know.
But his people, they were saying something entirely different, and that kind of pushed me in that direction, I
Yes,
think.
right. They take what his words were and sort of twist them
All the time.
to suit their philosophy.
For me, I just like being right, so...
You just like being right?
That's how I ended up liberal.
That sounds like a joyous.
And so what about it? You felt like, I get that.
Well, growing up where I'm from, you know, there weren't a lot of people like me. I got told I was liberal. You know what I mean? It's like you come out and you're like, hey, I love people. And they're like, liberal, like it's a bad word. Yeah. But that's how that was.
What's your problem?
Yeah, well, a lot of the religion, I was raised in the church, which is fine, by a very loving family, which my mom's right here. Hey, how you doing?
Pretty mother.
Yeah, but I think for me, we talk about this a lot. It's probably because I just wanted to be different and I'm contrarian. I feel like if I'd have been raised in San Francisco, I might could be Trump. Like, I would just be like, well, you know, I'm just going to do the different thing, like, whatever.
The nonconformist in the group.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Trae, what inspired you to start this whole thing? That video went, the hits on that were crazy.
Yeah, well, I've been a comedian for years, and then last year, during the whole HB2 thing in North Carolina, I saw this video that was going viral among the far right, like people I grew up with, you know, and it was just, all it was this preacher in North Carolina standing in the woods by a big jacked up truck, just real mad, hollering at his phone. You know, he wasn't even trying to be funny or nothing. And it had 15 million views. And I was just like, man, is that all it takes? Turns out it is. So, but yeah, no, I saw that and I thought, you know, if this is what I am trying to satirize, you know, in my comedy career, then why not just I go out back and holler at my phone, you know, but say what I think.
And thank you, by the way.
Here we are.
Right now, and you address this a little in the book, but, you know, I hear your Southern drawl. I'm from Iowa. When people hear I'm from Iowa, they ask certain questions. And do you live on a farm? And those are minor and benign examples. But what's the biggest misconception people have about the South?
I mean, in my opinion, the biggest misconception is that we're any more dumb than any other region of the country. Like, there's stupid people everywhere.
That's
Believe
true.
me, I've been everywhere.
That's true.
That is true.
Ours are loud.
Ours are louder. That's the thing.
And there are good people everywhere, too.
Absolutely.
When you go on the road as a comedian, which I have, there's always, you know, there's always bad and good.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, there's good conservatives and good liberals everywhere, too.
Yeah.
I'll toss this to you. Just, I'm often outnumbered at this table. I wrote a book, actually, called Outnumbered, about being a conservative in New York. And I'm curious, you guys, if you're outnumbered ideologically where you grew up, what is it like to communicate with people who fundamentally disagree with you? What's the best way to approach that argument to get them to kind of see the light or still have a good relationship with them despite those disagreements?
Just talk about fried chicken.
Usually works.
Food! That's a good point.
But that is a good point, to start with the basics. And also, sincerely, like with my family and with my friends back home, I mean, we support each other. I got people telling me today, tweeting at me, so proud of you, you know, go out there and represent. They know I'm going to say stuff they disagree with, but they're just happy, you know what I mean? And then I guess the other thing, isn't it kind of fun being contrarian?
I love it.
Like, I moved up here to
According
pursue
to this
comedy,
guy.
and I'm like, oh, I'm boring now. Like, I used to stand out, now I live in New York, everyone's like me, so I kind of miss that.
Well, they don't have that exact accent.
Well, that's the thing, yeah, I got to lean into that.
You can use that to your advantage here in New York. The ladies love it.
Yeah, they do.
I lived here for a year. It was great. I'm fine now.
Corey, so do you guys get hate mail and from the left or the right? Where you get?
Okay, we do, and it's from both. Now, the actual hate part, when it comes to just like one of his videos or one of our stand-up clips, always from the right, because a lot of times we're saying stuff they disagree with.
Right.
But we get a very unique type of hate from the left, which is, you know how we are. And so, like, if you have to be specifically 100%, you have to say the complete right thing. On International Women's Day, which is a great holiday, sure, it's awesome. I didn't know that you couldn't do this, but I posted a picture of a quiche that I had made that day on Instagram and Facebook, just because I'm an idiot and that's what I do. And so I posted it, and I had like all these comments just going, really, dude, how tone deaf are you? You're going to post a picture of your food on International Women's Day? And I'm like, I made it for my girlfriend who's on the couch not doing anything today. I'm sorry I didn't want to caption it that way.
I find that stuff offensive because I think innocently when you're doing something, oftentimes people hold you accountable for things that you should do.
You're sane.
You
You're a
shouldn't be
sane
offended
person.
by a picture of a quiche. That should never offend anybody.
My
That's
comment would have
weird.
been, looks delicious.
Well, what about that phrase, real men don't make quiche?
Well, that's stupid.
You should have tasted it, Joy.
I've always wanted to do that. I've always on national television wanted to make a point and then take a sip.
I just did it.
I want to dig into Donald Trump just a little bit with you guys. Because Trump, who is that, right? He won this election in large part due to a lot of these rural blue-collar towns like the ones that you guys grew up in. And those towns typically tilt blue, but they didn't this time around. So as an insider, did you guys see this coming? Were you surprised? And why did it happen, in your opinion?
So the town I grew up in is called Salina, Tennessee, and for years there was this big, huge clothing factory there, right? And in the 90s, after NAFTA, it shut down, moved to Mexico. And, you know, fast forward 20 years and my town is utterly devastated. Like, it's been double-digit unemployment ever since. Like, things have gotten very, very bad there and have been for a long time. And so, no, I'm not surprised that when he stands up there and yells at them, you know, that he's going to make that right and bring those jobs back and make Mexico pay and all this. I'm not surprised that it resonates with him. It's just, I also know that he's not going to do any of that.
Well, how is it that you knew that?
Well,
No, the question is, a lot of people bought it and believed it, and obviously he's a pathological liar, and yet you didn't believe him. Why didn't you?
well, I had left, and I never worked in that factory. They're desperate for something to believe in, you know,
It's
in a way that I'm
upsetting.
not.
That's right.
I think that hope has them holding on to something that's not.
And to be fair, the Democrats did not.
No, they left them
Right.
They
The
let him
Democrats
hang.
sold those people out a long
Well, they
time
did not
ago.
explain, except for Bernie. Bernie was very
Right.
clear,
Yes.
which I
Well-
never understood. Why vote for Trump when you have Bernie?
And he did very well. This is another thing that's a misconception. You know, he didn't do as well as Trump, but he did very well. His biggest rally was in Kansas. You know, like, he was doing well in these typically red states, too, for that same reason. But the fact of the matter is the left them behind and didn't give them a shot. And then they say things like, well, we're going to give you health care. We're going to give you welfare. These people want jobs. They're proud people.
Right.
Our people are proud people. And he tapped...
Well, I think
He tapped into that.
Well, they need a retraining. They need to go into different fields now, and that needs to be revolutionized.
Well,
because
I mean-
those jobs are not coming back.
Well, I want to get to the book. I'm so sorry. The book, The Liberal Manifesto, which you've seen, is absolutely hilarious. Whoopi's a huge fan, I must say.
Yes.
She got us all
She
listening
missed
to
it,
this.
too.
She's a huge fan.
couldn't
But
get
at
it.
times it's brutally honest. What was your ultimate goal in writing it?
Well, I think there's two parts, honestly. The first is to show the rest of the world, hey, look, we're Southern, we're loud, and we're proud, but we don't all just shoot guns in the air like Yosemite Sam. We don't beat our... Like, not every day. But
Not all the time. We don't, Uncle Keith, we know you do.
Yeah, we're not just sitting there chugging beers, beating our wife.
And
That's not...
sometimes we make quiche.
Sometimes we make quiche. We've also got... yes. We also have some of the best literature coming out of our area.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of smart people
best.
down there. But so it's for the rest of the country to go, hey, look, we're not everything you think we are. But it's also for the people in the South to go, hey, there's kind of a reason that they think that sometimes. So if you're the one that's making them believe that, quit, because we're all tired of getting blamed for your idiocy. I was going to say something very
Very
nice.
good.
About
Very good. I mean,
Take a sip.
the people forget Tennessee Williams, Eudora Welty,
Yep.
Flannery O'Connor. These
Keith
are
Whitley.
people come. Who?
Hey, hold on now.
All right. No, I'm talking writers. A lot of writers come from the South. Wonderful American writers. So thanks very much for coming on the show. I'd like to thank our comedians, Trae Crowder, Corey Ryan Forrester, and Drew Morgan. Their book, The Liberal Redneck Manifesto, Dragon Dixie, Out of the Dark, is available now, and everyone in our audience is going home with a copy.